I want to bring in our very good friend to talk a little Miami Heat. She is fresh off celebrating a birthday week from Clutch Corner. Allana Tachauer joins us here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Now, Sean, flash up this tweet because I want to make sure that Allana is achieving her goal for today. Allana, you had tweeted out after a big birthday week, today's goal, sweat out last week's excessive wine and sugar intake. Have you been successful on that? I know it's still early yet, and you're an hour behind us in Chicago. So has this day been a success for you?
You know what? I was going to come in here and tell you that you've got me fresh off a workout, a council meeting, and a night out last night. So you got me in rare form. I did sweat out a good amount of the damage that I did last week, but there's more to come. But it was a great week, so I can't really complain.
That's awesome. And happy belated again. I hope you had a wonderful bunch of birthday celebrations. And we got some interesting Heat stuff to talk about, Allana. Now, the Heat miss out on DeJon Jarreau, who unfortunately gets, before they can give him a two-way, he gets swept up by the Indiana Pacers. Was this a surprise to you? And how much of a disappointment is this? Because obviously this is a guy that would not have necessarily been a big-time rotation guy, but could have helped this team.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I hate that it had to be the Pacers. I'm very vocal about this. I hate the state of Indiana. I'm so sorry. It's like an 18-minute drive from me, if not less. It's just the worst. There's nothing good that comes of Indiana. I can't stand the Pacers, so that sucked. I was a little surprised. I don't think it's going to be detrimental. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. But I did like how he was looking, and I thought he could be a Heat guy. So I was surprised that happened, but there's always a method to the madness. So I have to think that's something they saw that coming, or at least they had a backup plan.
Have we locked up Marcus Garrett yet? Because I don't want anyone else to get sniped here.
I don't think so, but I think that would be the next best thing. So again, I'm not sure if it's more of they're looking to fill a certain position or it's just something else that we're not seeing. But I think that when the Heat miss out on players, people get all wrapped up in stuff. But at the end of the day, to your point, it's not going to be a rotation player. There are voids that can be filled other ways. So it had to be the Pacers.
Now, what is honestly, and I know, like you said, you live 18 minutes away from the state of Indiana. I've never been there. And it sounds like I'm lucky to have never stepped foot in that state, but like, what's so bad about it? Like, I don't really care. I hate the Pacers. Like, there are other sports teams I'm indifferent about, but I hate the Indiana Pacers. Like, what is it about Indiana that's so bad? Is it just a boring ass state?
There's nothing to really do over there. I will say, I used to be with a D3 men's basketball team, and there's a tournament or something, and I went with them. Indianapolis was not too bad. Our hotel was pretty nice. There were some okay kind of sports bars in the area, but just as a whole, I don't know. There's just nothing that comes from it good from Indiana. Traffic is always a mess with people trying to come in and out of Chicago. I will say gas is much cheaper there. So when I do venture out, I always fill up because Chicago gas prices are a joke. But there doesn't seem to be much to love. And to your point, the Pacers suck. So that's a reason enough for me to dislike the state.
I love that. Now, I was chatting with you a little bit before the show. I go through part of my morning routine when I'm looking up Heat news. Of course, I hit up 5reasonsports.com to see what's going there. And my guy Brady Hawk is always in the lab writing 10, 15 stories per day. He's crazy. He doesn't sleep, this guy. I check out the local papers, and then I usually comb the Heat page on Bleacher Report because they aggregate a bunch of stuff, right?
Yep.
But they do some of their own material as well. And I'm looking through Bleacher Report posted this piece over the weekend where they identified the most underrated player from every NBA team. And I went through to see who they identified as the Miami Heat's most underrated player. And Allana, this is just lazy. So according to Bleacher Report, Kyle Lowry is the Heat's most underrated player. Everybody knows Kyle Lowry. I thought they could have gotten a Dwayne Dedman or something. They reached for Kyle Lowry. I thought that was odd.
Yeah. I had not seen that until you messaged me about it, and I couldn't believe lazy. I don't even think covers that's not the right word for that. That has to be satire or something that we're missing in that article. Because that makes no sense. I think that I mean, aside from maybe Bam and Jimmy, that would be the last person I would name. So I don't know what happened there, but they need to do better.
Now, who do you, if you were going to identify the most underrated player on the Miami Heat, maybe you go with, like Welch says, you hate Duncan Robinson.
No.
Maybe you want to make amends and go with Duncan.
This is an awful narrative, and I blame Michael for this. I had once called Duncan one-dimensional. I'm glad that I was wrong. I never said I hated the guy. I was actually thinking about this question, though, after you messaged me, and I think I kind of have two answers. I think currently is completely different than, overall. James Johnson came to mind when you first messaged me. I don't think people appreciated him enough. I think culturally he was part of the reason that our identity of these like kind of down and dirty dogs not only began, but I think kind of like progressed over the years. And I think on court, he was not valued as highly as he should have been. But it's funny you say Dedmon, because Dedmon was going to be my answer. The guy came in, slotted himself on court, off the court, right into the team. There was chemistry right away. He fit the culture. He was all in. And I don't think people understand like how crucial that was, especially with what we were dealing with, to come in, back up Bam, and just fit in as well as he did. And he's a Leo, so I have to pick him. It's a no-brainer over here.
I love it. By the way, Ninja Viking casts a vote for Max Strus. And and honestly, that's not a terrible answer, because the Heat heads, like, those of us who follow the team day in and day out, we all know Max Strus, but I'm guessing like the casual NBA fan, that's not a name that's at the tip of your tongue. So yeah, I could totally see Strus becoming someone who's going to pop on everyone's radar. Oh, there, Adam Barai says we still see that birthday glow. How about that?
I mean, like I said, last night was a late night, so we're still carrying it over a little bit. I don't know if it's glow or what, but I'll take it.
By the way, is there a story behind, and wasn't Adam the one who like completely changed his Twitter was that him? And I even like, I mentioned, I DM'd him and I'm like, why are you, or no, I didn't DM him. I replied to it like, why are you trying to confuse people? I wasn't even 100% sure it was Adam. He's like Boston Adam now on Twitter.
Yeah, it was a terrible decision. I said this offline as well as I replied to that tweet. I don't know what he's doing, but he's got some stuff to figure out, it seems. I don't know.
Like, I've got these pet peeves on Twitter, Allana, where like if somebody, you better be someone I really respect and like if you want me to keep following you when you change your @. And Barai, he's awesome, so he falls into that category. Like, I will keep following him even though this annoys me to no end. But when people change their @, it drives me crazy. And when
it's funny because it like Ethan keeps calling that his burner, but I'm not sure Ethan understands what a burner account is, because that's certainly not one. It's just a second account. But I'm hoping that name is not too long lived. I feel like it's time to change back.
Yeah, it is. So when people change their @, it annoys me. And also, and I know this has to happen sometimes because it's like a driver's license, like you can't keep an old picture forever.
Yeah.
But people who change their Avi really often, it drives me crazy. Like, you have to change it every few years because like you look different, fine. But if you change your Abby like once a month, then what happens is when you pop into my timeline, I don't know who you are. And I'm like, why is this person all over my timeline? So like I try to keep an Abby for like 3 years, 4 years before I change it. I don't want to be one of those people. So, all right. Well,
I used to be the girl who changes it seasonally,
really?
But then that just got too tiring, and I didn't want to keep taking like seasonal photos. So we're just sticking with what we have. But I mean, it is a good point. You don't want to be catfishing people.
Oh man. Well, and at least like you're up in Chicago, you actually have seasons there. Like I have no reason to change. It's summer. That's true. Summer.
That's true. I could never live anywhere without seasons. It's too near and dear to my heart.
Oh, totally. So something I wanted to ask you about general Miami Heat roster construction, right? Because I love what the Heat have done in free agency and the trades and the transactions that they've made. But, everything is going through this old school Pat Riley lens of defense. And you kind of feel like they're rebuilding like the late 90s team. Is that too much, Allana, in today's NBA? Like, are you worried about, obviously the Heat have scorers, but are you worried about where the consistent scoring is going to come from when their closing lineup seems to be very, very defensive? How do you feel about the way the roster is being constructed?
I understand, people being a little bit concerned about that in today's day and age, because obviously the game is changing. I think for me, I'm actually fine with it only because that's been the Heat's identity for so long. And I've said this before, I feel like over the past few years, we've kind of lost who we were. I know we were kind of going through a shift of personnel. There was guys coming in and out of the roster. There was a mix of the youngins and then some vets. But I think if we're going to stick to who we are and we need to be like true to that, I really do think that it is being a defensive powerhouse. Obviously, we need shooters. People like Duncan and Max Strus will take care of that. Hopefully Bam's offensive game steps up a little bit too. And we have Jimmy and obviously now Lowry as well. But I'm not as concerned as a lot of people because I think they know what to do with a defensive heavy team, even if the game is changing. So I think as long as we stay true to who we are and kind of build upon that, I don't think we're going to have a problem.
By the way, did you trip out a little bit when you see that Ray Allen is now a high school coach? Like the only thing that annoyed me, Allana, is the team that he's coaching was like a rival of my high school down here. So I'm like, oh, it had to be Gulliver Prep. He had to go there. Like I can only imagine like what it must be like for a high school kid. And that's a private school. So there's going to be some recruiting that's happening, whether it's technically allowed or not. But what it would be like to step on the court and be like, Ray Allen is my head basketball coach. Like I would be like a kid in a candy store.
No, that's so dope. I'm really happy for him. I love when players just continue on. I know not everyone wants to coach and, some guys just go on to do different things in a completely different industry than anything sports related. But he's too brilliant of a basketball mind to give that up. So super happy for him. I know nothing about the school being obviously from Chicago. But I loved that announcement.
Yeah, basically they kicked my school's ass in everything. Like I went to a moderately priced private school, and Gulliver is like a very high. So they were more expensive than my school, better academics than my school. Like I played on my school's soccer team, Westminster Christian, and we were just average. And when we played against Gulliver, I swear to God, all of their players were and keep in mind I'm in 10th grade, and all of their players are 6'2" from Brazil. Like they don't even speak English. I'm like, where do these guys come from? It's like they're speaking to each other in Portuguese. I'm trying to talk to them in English. They don't understand me. It's like, where are they getting these ringers from? They had Pelés 1 through 11. I'm not sure, honestly, if their basketball team was good because at my school, Westminster, we actually had a pretty good basketball team.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how Gulliver stacked up in that, but I'm sure now.
Well, they're about to be better now.
They're going to be shooting threes from half court and draining everything. Oh my God. Oh, and by the way, I love this comment from Ninja Viking. With Ray Allen at Gulliver, that means Kevin Garnett is probably going to come and coach at Westminster Christian High School.
This feud is it's so ridiculous to me. I am not a KG fan. I never have been. So I'm obviously automatically going to side with whatever he's not a fan of. But it's just like, how long are we going to do this?
Do you think it's bordering on shtick at this point? Do you think in real life he's like, you know what? I don't want to be this petty, but I'm kind of having fun doing this social media thing.
I think if it was anyone else, I would believe that, but no, I just think this is how he is, and he's gonna hold this grudge until the day he dies. I don't know, he just seems like someone where if you cross them once, that's it. There's just no going back, and he's just gonna keep riding this wave. I think it's making him look ridiculous, but I don't think he cares at this point. So here we are.
Did you see Uncut Gems?
I did not.
He was, he was actually. He was actually not bad at that movie. It was basically a movie. Adam Sandler was beyond degenerate sports gambler, and KG's in the movie. He was actually pretty good. So I watched that. I'm like, you know what? I still don't like the guy, but he's a better actor than LeBron James.
I was about to say, I'm guessing he was better than LeBron, and that you're taking solace in that fact.
No doubt about that. Allana Tachauer does an awesome job here on 5 Reasons Sports and on Clutch Corner. Allana, before we let you go, let the people know when they can see you and hear you again on the network. You have anything planned this week?
Yeah, so Michael and I are actually recording Feel the Heat tonight. A new episode will drop tomorrow. I think we had plans of going for Clutch Corner on Thursday, but don't quote me on that because Boston Adam is in the process of moving. So we'll see if that happens. But you can always catch us all on Twitter.